Got the deputy with me. Hey, hey, say hi to the camera. Oh, okay. He's a little shy. We're gonna go ahead and feed Taco. We got a bunch of feeders. I just tried to clean some of this stuff off the tank, and Taco stole the sponge. So he's a little hungry. We're gonna go ahead and feed him, and then I'm gonna go over some fly fishing stuff with you. Guys, so you saw Taco got fed. Right now he's just going nuts, destroying some of these feeder fish. He destroyed the sponge that I was using to clean the tank, so now I have to figure out some other way to clean the algae or whatever off of the glass. So I'll figure that out later, but right now what I'm going to do is go over some fly fishing stuff with you. Hoping to get out in the next few days fly fishing. They just stocked a creek by my parents' house, and the problem is everybody that follows the stocking truck around has been hanging out at the creek trying to get as many trout out of there as possible. So I'm going to let that die down before we get going. So I'll start off with the rod and reel combo that I use, and then I'll start going over my vest and the stuff I have in my vest. So to start, it's a 4-piece rod reel combo, and this is a White River, which is like Bass Pro Shops brand fly reel. So it comes apart 2 pieces like this. I need to clean that and grease it, but it's 2 pieces. And for the line, you guys really can't see this. This is the leader. The leader you attach tippet to. Tippet is just very small, fine, strong, clear line that the fish can't see. And that's what you tie the fly to. So you have the fly, the tippet, the leader, and then after the leader you have this yellow line. And this is your fly line. This is either 3 or 4 weight forward line, which means it's heavier on the part that you're casting than the part that's attached to the reel. So that helps you get a longer, straighter cast, more control, stuff like that. And then it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or if this thing will focus. No, it's not going to focus. But behind the fly line is just like 30-pound braid, or yeah, it's either 20 or 30-pound braid, which is called backing. The backing is there because you only have maybe 100 yards of fly line. Like at most. I'm pretty sure I have less than that on here. And the backing is there so that if the fish takes all your fly line, you're not screwed trying to get the line to start reeling back in again when it's at the very end. You have plenty of backing down. So that way when the fish starts going, you can let it take all the fly line, you still have plenty of line to reel it back in. But this, I've had this reel, I don't know, 12 years, something like that. It's the only fly reel. No, I've had 2 fly reels. I've had this one for 12 years. I had the other one longer, probably about 2 years longer than that. But I don't use it because you hear that little bit of clicking? The other one I have is a lot louder than that. And now this rod, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that. I can barely see it on the camera. It's a Temple Fork BVK 4-weight rod. It's a 4-piece that in total is 8 foot 6 inches. I got the 4-piece because in college I did a lot of fly fishing, and a lot of places I went, a 2-piece rod wasn't going to work because it was like carrying a 4-foot rod through some tight brushy areas, and I was getting hung up on everything. So this is the rod tube. That's what I would carry. It's got a little handle here. This setup is nice and compact for hiking through the woods, trying to get to those little tiny creeks that most people won't try to get to. You look at that eyelet, if I can get that to focus. See if I can get it in front of the camera. See, it's not a normal eyelet. It's just kind of a loop instead of a circle. They're like that to help cut down on the drag of the line. So when you're going back and then flinging it forward, the line will zip through a loop like that quicker than it will like on your bait casting rods, where it's just a circle that's mounted right to the rod. So that's my rod. That's the reel I use. There's thousands of cheap, inexpensive rods that work very well. I probably spent a good bit on this rod just because of the warranty and because it's such, it's a very lightweight rod. Right here is very thin compared to a lot of cheap rods. The cheaper rods are almost as wide as this cork part right here, and then they taper down a lot. This one is just pretty thin the entire length of the rod. It gives you better action with the fly. It makes the whole thing lighter. I've broken a few of those cheap rods, and I finally broke down, bought a nice one, and I've had it for a while, and it has put up with a lot of abuse. All right, that's it. It's all packed up. All right, so now this is my vest. It's 2 pouches and this shoulder strap. Just try not to knock the camera over. But this style versus the normal vest, because around here in Baltimore, it gets really hot in the summer, and just having a whole extra layer of clothing on that you don't need, it's not helpful when it's that hot. In the one pouch, I have 1 box of flies, and in this one it's mostly this one's just an assortment of everything. I thought it was organized different. It's not. This is just an assortment. I've got a bunch of hand-tied flies that one of my buddies makes for me. I've got some flies in this box that are older than I am. Then in this other pouch, I've got a smaller box. This one is mostly like woolly buggers, leeches, stuff like that. And then on this side, I've got little foam beetles. They're like top order things, and eggs. It looks just like a little salmon egg or a trout egg, and they work great. I've also got some, I'm not sure what you call this one, but we made a few of them. They work really good. This is a little epoxy fly. Looks, there we go. It looks like a little minnow. It's just a hard body with like a feather tail, and this one works very well. With the 2 boxes, I don't really have to stay super organized with them because I have 2 of them and they're just right here ready to go. If I don't see the one in this pouch, I go to this pouch. Then I've got more leaders. These are 7.5 foot leaders. These come with a loop already on one end, right here. You really can't see it. And that loop makes it easier to attach it to the fly line, because the fly line already comes with a loop on one end also. So what you do is you put one loop through the other loop, and then it just hooks real quick. You don't have to deal with any knots or anything like that. And it also makes it easier stringing the rod up, because when you have those two loops hooked together, they go right through the eyelets. Here's more tippet. Alright, so I also carry some little plane hooks with me and more little plastic eggs. These are little 6mm eggs. They're very soft, kind of slimy, almost like the soft plastics used for bass fishing. And then these are called strike indicators. It's a little foam float. You see it's bright orange, and it's kind of like shaped like a figure 8. And that's so you put it over the line and you pinch it, and it's a bobber for fly fishing, for lack of better terms. And what that does is, if you're using a little tiny midge like this, you put a strike indicator on it, and that way when the fish hits it, because you can't see when they hit that, with the indicator you'll see when they strike it, and you're able to set the hook and get the fish. So these definitely come in handy. And you can use them with pretty much any fly that you use. It's just like bobber fish. All other things I carry on my fly vest. This is one of them. It's just a little piece of leather. It's folded in half. I forget the technical name for it, but it straightens your leader. So when your leader's been curled up around the reel for a while and you go to pull it out, it's all curled up. It holds the memory of the reel very well, and you don't need that when you're fly fishing. So what you do is you put the line between here and you pinch it, and you just pull the line through, and the friction warms it up and straightens the line out real quick. And then one other thing I carry is fly floating, or something along those lines. And it kind of looks like Vaseline or something like that. And what you do is, when you have a fly with a lot of feathers on it, like that, when it gets wet, all the feathers will lay down, and instead of floating on top of the water, it'll sink down and it won't do what it's supposed to. So what you do is you take that fly, you kind of like twirl it in your fingers to get most of the moisture off, and you dip it in this stuff, and it makes the fly waterproof, and then that helps the fly float on top of the water. That way, if it's floating, it looks more natural, more like a mayfly or caddisfly, something like that, and it's easier for the fish to see it, and then they strike it because they think it's a real fly. So that's the basics of my fly fishing knowledge and my fly fishing stuff. Hopefully we'll be getting out soon to show you guys how to cast, and I'll be teaching Roy how, because I don't think he's ever been. He's got a fly rod, he's just never been out. So I'm going to be teaching him, and hopefully I can teach some of you guys in the process. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, go on and subscribe, check out all our social medias, and we'll see you on the next one.